Hello and welcome to Traffic Paradise Radio. I'm Uno and joining me today is Immy.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, there's a slight delay there, but we'll make do with it.
That's pretty awful.
Oh
Oh
well, it's
well.
okay. So Immy, how are you doing? How was your week? Are you excited for the race?
I am excited. I've had a long week, and you know what? I need F1 again, I think. But nice little break, because as much as I love it, having like a double header and then a triple header was pretty intense. We've had a nice single race, break in between both sides, time to debrief, relax, and we go back to a triple header. This
Yeah.
this first section of the calendar is pretty jam-packed.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a bit of apologizing, I guess, from us in a way. We kind of jumped the gun last week, and when we were speaking about, was it last week or this week? I don't actually know. It was this week.
Oh god, it was this week.
Yeah, we were speaking about Ollie Oakes and what happened there at Alpine. And we started saying like, oh, he might be going after Christian Horner's job. And then, yeah, so that did not happen. As you can see from this article from the Telegraph, Ollie Oakes' brother, who is the director of High Tech Grand Prix, was arrested and charged with transferring criminal property last Friday. It is alleged, and we're going to say alleged and allegedly a lot, that he is in cahoots with Nikita Mazepin's father and has been funneling money, Russian oligarch money, to, well, we don't really know for what reasons and to where, but that seems to be allegedly what has been happening. So he did not resign from Alpine in protest against Doohan's poor treatment, nor did he resign because he was offered the Red Bull team principal role. No, he fled the country and went to the UAE. So, yeah. Oh my God, Ollie Oakes, such a nice guy. Oh my gosh, Flavio Briatore, terrible person. Christian Horner, terrible person. Ollie Oakes said, hold my beer, and was like, no, bro, I'm coming, and I'm going to be the worst team principal in the world, funneling money for Russian oligarch war criminals, allegedly.
Oh
So, on behalf of Traffic Paradise Radio, we would like to apologize for our it wasn't misinformation. We were just confused and not aware of all the dynamics at the time. But now that we are, we want to just clarify that. But there is still some reason for Christian Horner to be slightly worried because an Austrian publication, now remember that 49% of Red Bull company is owned by Austrians, like an Austrian family, and I think it's the Mateschitz family, and they have a lot of influence in the Formula One team. And obviously, if an Austrian publication is talking about this, one would imagine that they do have some sort of insight into what is going on. So do take it with a pinch of salt, but perhaps add a bit of spicy pepper in there because it's a juicy story. Franz Tost is apparently a candidate to take over from Christian Horner. And a lot of that decision will rest on the upcoming Imola Grand Prix. So Red Bull have obviously been struggling this season. We know that they had problems, first of all, with Lawson. Max did win a race at Suzuka, but since then, their form has been not as good. and for the first time in like the longest time, Max didn't even get a podium. He was over half a minute behind the McLarens in the last race. So yeah, there's been some problems for Max and for Red Bull. Obviously, Yuki's still coming to terms with the car, although he did receive some glowing praise. We don't have a slide of that, but there was someone from the garage, someone, I can't remember who, did speak quite highly of Yuki this week and said that he's actually doing a good job and settling in well, and he's gone over and above what they expected of him. Obviously, that could be just PR speak. So again, take it with a pinch of salt. But it does seem that Yuki does have the faith of the Red Bull garage behind him, which is more than could be said for the likes of Checo or Liam, and for different reasons, because they didn't believe Checo and because, well, Liam was just crap. So, but
Well,
it is something to look forward to, or to look at this weekend, is how do the new upgrades perform for Red Bull, and what will then happen as a result of either are they upgrades or are they downgrades? If it's an upgrade, Horner would likely be safe. If it's a downgrade, Horner will likely not be safe. So that's something to look out for this weekend. And it just sort of ties into all the rumors we were hearing last week and that were incorrectly linked to Ollie Oakes. There appear to be two separate issues. One would even argue three separate issues. There's the Alpine issue, there's the Russian oligarch issue, and then there's the Red Bull issue. We thought they were all the same thing. They are not the same thing. So keep an eye out for that. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, Robin is saying, as a Max fan, I have mixed feelings because I want the upgrades to work, but also I need Horner out. What I will say is I feel like, I don't know if Imola is the track to really be sort of weighing down on the upgrades, because we know it's a track where there's a lot less overtaking opportunity. It's a narrow track. It's an old track. It doesn't work as well with these newer, big, bulky F1 cars. And so if Max, like he's been doing really well and consistently, can put that car on pole, I think he has a good chance of winning it like he did in Japan. I don't know if that will really show how well the upgrades are working, because there's just not as many overtaking opportunities. There is also a question, if Imola is hotter than Japan, then the McLarens may have the pace to beat out even that less overtaking opportunity of Imola. We'll have to wait and see. But if Max can outdrive the car like he continues to, I feel like a decision like ousting Horner won't come just from one weekend, to be honest. But even if the upgrades go pretty well, I think there's still going to be a lot of doubt and he won't really be in the clear. Because the fact that this is a conversation when he's been the team principal for 20 years and there hasn't, I feel like even last year when, we all know what happened last year, there wasn't any doubt really. He kept his position. Nobody was like, we're going to take this away from you, even though that's probably something that should have resulted in him losing that position. But now it's the car. I mean, it's Formula One, isn't it? So
yeah. Okay, so before we move on, I just want to say good evening to R. It's just an R, and Tay, who is a member of TPR, obviously. They have written in Japanese in the comments, but they are saying good evening. So good evening from Japan. That makes not three Japanese people, but three people who are currently in Japan here on the either watching or presenting. So last time it was India, this time it's Japan. So welcome, good evening, and we hope you enjoy the show. Tay is hoping to get to Yuki's pop-up store for his new fashion brand Fenty Dew next week.
When is he going to put that online, man? He said end of March.
He did have a massive change in his career just as he was about to launch that. And quite frankly, as much as I want some cool, like, crop top,
I want to give him money.
American football style shirts, which will just look so great with my belly, I really would rather he like does well and like wins a Grand Prix or gets a couple podiums. So I'm perfectly happy with him focusing on other endeavors right now and not worrying too much about his fashion brand. But yes, we are waiting for the fun shirts and things.
Maybe August, summer break. Some point this year.
Perhaps.
Please.
He's giving me time to lose weight so I can look good in the clothes. I can appreciate that.
Okay. We shall get on to the predictions, I think.
Okay.
Probably the less dramatic section of this stream now.
Yeah. Don't worry. We still got wild cards coming up. That's always fun. So, Immy, why don't you start us off? What is your prediction for pole position?
My prediction for pole position is Oscar Piastri.
Obviously.
Well, no, look, I have receipts in this case. He qualified on the front row last year. One of the few times he technically outqualified Lando Norris, but then he got a grid penalty for impeding. So it didn't work out then. I feel like impeding could be an issue this weekend, narrow track, lots of cars. But I think he has shown that he has the pace here. He can put a lap together here. I think the McLaren this year is actually showing to be a harder car to qualify in because stuff to do with I've heard stuff. Okay, don't look at me like that.
You sound like Norris now. No, it's not actually that good of a car. Please.
I mean, look, the McLaren is the fastest, and it is the fastest in qualifying.
They've got a pole position on every race but one this whole season.
That's not true. What is wrong? No. Max got pole in Miami. Max got pole in Saudi Arabia. Max got pole in Japan. Max has had half.
Oh yeah, sorry. Wait, I'm thinking first place. My bad. You're right. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a dominant car in race pace. It's a harder car to qualify in because the braking is inconsistent. It's hard to push it to the limit, which is why you've seen like Japan is a good example. On their last laps, both Lando and Oscar made mistakes. It was enough for like P2 and 3, but it didn't beat the consistent lap of Max. But Oscar had a bad qualifying session in Miami, and we've shown and seen this season that when he has a bad session, he tends to go away, learn from that, and come back a lot stronger. So I think that he can do that, and with his pace from last year, it's a pretty likely candidate for pole, I think.
No, he's definitely likely. It's not a very interesting prediction, but it's very it's very obvious that it's very likely to happen. So no, I'm just like, of course it's Oscar. It's like I'm guarantee, I don't know what everyone else has predicted, but I guarantee we're going to see Oscar's face at least 3 times in this prediction.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. It's nothing against you or him. It's just it's very obvious now. He's doing well. It's a good year for him. So yeah, of course he's most likely to get pole just given the way things are panning out. Also, I don't think that floor it didn't deliver everything that Red Bull expected it to. So, yeah. I mean, look, they might tweak some things, They might have spent some time now in the sims and looking at data to try and figure things out. But I still think that the McLarens are most likely to get pole. Probably. So yeah, I think it's a good
the McLarens or Max is always, they're the likely candidates.
It's Mac or Max. That's it. The Max, MCS, or the Max, MAX. It's just that's the way the season's going. Or a random Italian teenager. For some reason. Okay, so my prediction, and this is the part where we all get to the surprise because I can't remember what I predicted. My prediction is Lando Norris, which is also very obvious because it's either going to be him, as we just said, it's going to be the Max or Max. And yeah, I don't need to elaborate much more than that, other than to say I still think that Lando is in. I still think he's in this fight, and I still think that he's got a lot more to give us this season. And I think he's just gone through a little bit of a slump, if you will. But even then, it's not that much of a slump because, if this is a slump, please give me this kind of slump in my life, because my slumps in life are never this good. He's still doing very well. It's a very good season for Lando, and I don't think he should be bummed out at all. So
anyone who's counting him out at this point is just a bit delusional. Like Lando, he's had a couple of bad races, but I think that's just about adjusting to the car, and we're a quarter of the year through. He had better qualifying. I mean, it wasn't pole, but he had better qualifying in the sprint, and well, I guess not really in the sprint because I think Oscar out-qualified him, but he had better qualifying in the Grand Prix. It was P2. So he had a better weekend. He didn't make a mistake or put it in the wall. So that's a sort of bit of an upward, oh God, I can't speak, trajectory. That's kind of what he needed, right? This weekend, it might have not been super like, oh, he won Miami 2 years in a row. How poetic. But it was a solid weekend. He didn't make any proper mistakes, right? He was there the entire time, in the fight the entire time. And you can argue that him trying to get the lead from Max was a mistake. I don't think so. I think if there's a gap, you're going to go for it. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. And I also feel like what happened there, I wouldn't say it was like a Max fault or a Lando fault. It was just something that happened in the race. You know, it's the first turn. It's all those things, you know, like you expect those things to happen. It's no one's fault. They think it's like if an acorn falls out of a tree and hits you on the head, it's no one's fault, you know. Like it just
very much so. Lovely metaphor for a racing incident.
I mean, unless there's a squirrel like with butterfingers up in the tree, like it's no one's fault, you know. It just happens.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very solid weekend, I think, and so I can imagine that he'll take that and bring that into Imola, and that will be good for him.
Yeah, I also wouldn't be surprised if the two faces we currently see now are on like the two top steps of the podium this week. You know, Uno and Immy will be on the podium this week. Those are the two faces we're seeing right now. No, obviously the McLarens. You know, it's what we expect. Obviously, it is a Ferrari-esque home race. Not quite. More home race for the Racing Bulls. But let's be honest, they're not going to get a podium. So, you know,
I don't think Ferrari are
the
either.
chances of the Ferrari getting a podium. Like,
low.
I mean, we were talking about delusional earlier. Like, if you want delusional, I predicted Charles Leclerc would win the championship this year.
Oh, I can't believe. I mean, I'm going to touch wood, but I thought I was being delusional, and
yeah, you predicted Oscar. Like that was a good shout.
I was like, oh,
he's like 1 in the 5.
It's not going to happen. But I mean, I don't think anybody could have predicted the way the Ferraris were going to end up 4th, 5th fastest, depending on the weekend.
Yeah.
Actually,
speaking about bad predictions, let's see what everyone else predicted. Oh, Kira and Neve.
Lots of a certain Italian teenager here. I think we're trying to go for a bit of at-home glory. Kimi has shown that he has that 1 lap pace, which is this early in his career is good for him. This is good. I don't think it's out of the question. I'm pretty sure teams like McLaren, I don't put money on this because I'm sort of just guessing. I'm pretty sure McLaren, Mercedes, and Red Bull are all bringing upgrades. But it could just be Mercedes and Red Bull. Ferrari aren't. I know that, which is like, oh, at this point, you might as well start working on 2026 and give up. To be honest.
Maybe they just needed to upgrade their communication skills. Maybe it was like a non-mechanical upgrade this week.
Upgrade their pit wall.
Let's just talk to each other and learn how to communicate effectively, efficiently, and within like 1 lap, not 5. Because anyway. We're talking about Imola, not last week, but yes.
like you said, free Oscars, also free Landos, and then no Max, which I think is a missed opportunity, to be honest. Somebody should have predicted Max.
There's a sneaky Max in there somewhere for sure.
Just not the pole, which is like the way it's going. He'll be on pole and he will come like 5th. So
yeah,
I don't know. But, yeah.
So yeah, look, like as we said, a lot of orange, a touch of turquoise. We'll see how it goes, but that's most likely. I would put George on pole before I put Kimi, but you know, I mean,
I don't want to say that Kimi's sprint pole was a fluke, but it was a weekend where George was consistently not having a good one in qualifying.
Yeah. Also, the thing with the sprint is like the team setups and stuff are different for the sprint.
Yeah.
because they don't have as much data. Once they've done the sprint, they've got a lot more data and they change things. So a sprint is always an outlier. Like, I mean, just look at Miami last year. You had Ricardo qualifying P4, and in the main race he qualified like he didn't even make it to Q3. You know, so there's sprints are not an indicator of race potential, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, definitely not. But
yeah,
I mean, I would say there's lots to do with setup and everything, but Kimmy definitely does have pace. It's just in a normal situation, George would have a little bit more at this stage.
Yeah.
I think. But like he was so open about how much he was struggling, which I think would be something that he would hope to write by Imola.
And the thing is, like, if he had 3 practice sessions, he probably wouldn't have been struggling. He would have found the right setup and he would be okay. So yeah, definitely. Okay, so P3, Immy, who have you got for P3 at Imola?
I have got Max Verstappen.
Max.
I feel like a pretty safe P3 pick, but also he was not on the podium last week, more due to the virtual safety car sort of hijinks, pit stop jumps, less due to his own fault. But yeah, let's see if the new upgrades for the Red Bull can help them outpace the Mercedes. I mean, pretty much statistically, they have been the second fastest car, but it's sort of been between the two weekend to weekend. I mean, I was about to say, Imola was good for them last year, but at this point, everything was good for them. So that's a pretty redundant point. But I think it's probably going to be hot. So, I mean, some of it's track specific, but also the McLarens are just good when it's warm. Like, so I don't know if anyone's going to get close to them. Probably not to the same amount as Miami, but there's going to be some advantage. But I think Max will be consistent and turn up pretty much best of the rest.
I mean, yeah, he's pretty reliable in that regard. But who have I picked? I don't know. Oh, look at that. Oscar Piastri. There we go. So I have to remember now who I picked ahead of him in order for him to be here. But I really should like review my predictions before we start live streaming. But anyway, so Oscar, you know, solid season from him. He can't win them all, so P3 seems like a good consolation prize in this case. Yeah, I don't see him being far off the pace, or you know, it might be quite a close top 3. So let's see how it goes. But yeah, Piastri P3. But what have Tay, Kira, Lee, Neve, Lacey, and Willow predicted?
Good Lord. I forgot how blue that was. Jesus Christ.
That was such a shock. I was not expecting that much turquoise.
Oh my God.
What is this? 3 Kimmies, 3 Georges. Jesus. Okay, I get like the Antonelli home crowd. It's like very poetic. He gets his first podium in Italy. It's lovely, but guys, come on.
Yeah, not to like rain on everybody's parade, burst everyone's bubble. Kimmy does not have the race pace or the tire management right now. Probably more tire management than race pace, but he's a rookie. You know, that's how it works. I mean, who knows? 10 people could crash, right? Like, nothing's out of the cards, but yeah, maybe let's wait till Monza, guys. He'll have a bit more experience then. I think George is a good shout, though. George is a good shout. He's always up there. He's always up there. So,
Ooh.
Ooh,
sorry. So I was just curious, and there is a 20% chance of rain currently for Imola. Okay, but that's a week out. Okay, so that will change, and it will either solidify one way or the other. But
and I mean, we saw what happened in Miami. There was like 2% chance of a hurricane, thunderstorms, torrential rain, and none of it actually happened during the race.
Yeah.
So, like, it could just completely skirt the circuit.
Yeah. So for me, it's not very hot, but I understand for some European people it is. It looks like the weather is going to be about 21, 22 degrees on Saturday for qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people consider that to be warm. I personally don't.
I consider that warm. I think
Yeah,
I don't remember how hot it was in Miami, but it
I'm
was
sure
also
it was hotter than that.
yes,
No?
probably. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the McLarens will have somewhat of a heat advantage, but it'll be nothing compared to Miami. Like, they won't be 30 seconds clear, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that at all.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, if there's rain, then I can see a bit more turquoise on the podium.
If there's Kimmy is really good in the rain as well. We all remember his Australia drive. So
yeah.
like,
I mean, some
there
of us
is
don't remember it because we were in a plane, but yes.
yeah, I was in like a state of depressive dissociation as well, but I remember. But yeah, if it does rain, there's a chance. But I feel like it's going to be a thing this season. We keep chasing the chance of rain, and it never ends up happening because they gave us Australia, and that's it. No more excitement.
Yeah. Tay is saying, I believe Kimmy can do it. Hashtag. So
yeah, Tay's trying to stage a protest in the chat right now.
That's okay, Tay.
Okay, it's okay. You can. I don't think you're the most delusional of everybody up here, though. So enjoy your P3 prediction. I do think it is going to get worse. So
okay, so let's talk about getting worse. Let's look at P2. Who have you got for P2, Immy?
I have got Lando Norris. Oh my god, you may be thinking, wow, he's here again. Yes, I predict him P2 a lot. I think the McLarens have the race pace. I think Lando's got solid qualifying. He'll probably be, if I'm predicting Oscar on pole, I'm predicting Lando P2 by a small margin. And then Imola is just a track where there's not a lot of space to overtake. I would love for them to fight because we haven't had that yet this season. Quarter of the way through, they have not had a proper fight for the lead yet. Mad. But we'll see. P2.
Okay.
I ran out of insightful things to say.
Yeah, I mean, as we've been saying a lot this year, like the McLarens are like bound to be on the podium. So them being there, there's not much to discuss there. Speaking of which, who did I put on the podium? What the fuck was I doing? Okay, a little bit more turquoise. Okay, I'm clearly more delusional than everyone that put turquoise in the first. Okay,
I don't think George is out of the question. I have a sneaky feeling you didn't put Lando on the podium at all, though, which is interesting. So
really,
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Who did I predict for pole? I predicted Lando for pole.
Yeah, well, let's see who you predicted for P1. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Tay, y'all are delusional in like groupthink. Okay, I am a lone wolf in this case. I imagine, but Tay
I don't know what's better.
So the groupthink of literally 75% of the TPR people thinking that Mercedes will get P3 is, I think, more severe craziness than just me on my own thinking George might manage a P2. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, if it goes the way, if you haven't put Lando on the podium, maybe it goes the way it did in Bahrain, where George did get a P2. So
yeah,
there you go.
I think he's missed the consistency this year.
Yeah, totally.
Wait. Did Neve predict Antonelli P3 and George P2?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, that is delusional. But
it's
loving that confidence. I'm loving that confidence, Neve. You go. But yeah,
we're riding high for Mercedes. Not me, actually. I'm not. I don't think I put them on the podium at all.
I mean, that would be a massive weekend for Mercedes, like short of obviously a win. That would be huge. Yeah. And it would be very cool. Like, I'm not going to lie. But like, I don't see it happening. Tay has gone with Lando. Lacey's gone with Lando. Kira's gone with Oscar. Willow's gone with Oscar. Lee has gone with Oscar. Neve said, I said it was from my gut, but with no logic. Fair. In fairness, as you can
Neve
see
is
to my
doing the
own,
Uno strategy.
yeah, my own reactions to my predictions tell you everything about how I pick these things. Because I'm just like, I just put 3 names down and I go on with my day, and then I see how it turns out later. Because it's all a bit of a lottery at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
I just play like the uber random lottery. Because sometimes you can have a very considered approach and still get everything wrong.
Yeah,
So like,
sometimes you can have a very considered approach and be leading.
I'm like Littlefinger. Chaos is a ladder. I just do chaotic things and see how it goes. It came to me
Yes.
in a dream. I was sat on the bus and I typed them without thinking, Neve says. Okay, Neve.
Beautiful.
That's beautiful. I feel like that's how Ferrari has handled its season. They were just like,
Oh,
no, like the championship came to us in a dream. And so we just kind of went for it without putting much more thought into
we
it.
changed our entire car and it sucks. And the car
Oh,
was a
by
bust.
the way, on the subject of Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton looked damn fine at the Met Gala. So
Oh,
if he
yeah.
might be having a shit time on track, but off track, he's living large, and like power to him. I don't know if you saw his Met Gala outfit.
I did. It was lovely. Love me
It's,
some Met
he was
Gala.
like a big part of the Met Gala.
Yeah,
Like
he was one of the co-chairs, I think.
yeah, he was working with like Anna
Yeah,
Wintour, and I think like they decided on the theme, which was like
yeah.
black dandies and stuff. Yeah. So power to Lewis. He's having a great time off track, and I'm sure he absolutely loved not having to worry about being a Ferrari driver for a night. So
And did you see the promo they did for it, the F1 movie at the Met?
no. Oh,
They had
the actor who's playing like Joshua or something,
yeah. Did you
and
see
he
they
had
had
like
him the
the
suit
kit. Yeah, I
and
saw
then
that.
they
That was
pulled it off
cool.
of him.
That was
And
cool.
he pulled up to the Met Gala in like an F1 car, but it was probably like F2 or F3 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really paid attention to that though, which was like, wow, you kind of got just cold and a bit wet in a sort of open car for nothing. But that was that. I wish he was the main character instead of Brad Pitt. I agree.
I
Yeah,
think he might be the main character
I hope so.
because,
But
like,
Brad Pitt's
what
got
is
that whole romance going on. So
so? Like, my theory is that this is essentially the movie. Shit, what was that movie with there was a movie with Sylvester Stallone. It's not Rush. Rush was the other one. Hold on, give me 1 second. There was a
wait,
movie with Sylvester Stallone. Driven. It was called Driven. It
he was
came out
on
in
it.
2001. Okay. It essentially has the same, not Grand Prix, Neve. I'm not that old. Okay,
Oh,
that movie's ancient. So it tells a story of this team with a rookie and like an elder driver who comes in to like guide him, which from what I'm seeing from the trailer, this
they've
is,
just plagiarized Driven.
I mean, well, and then there's also this like, so I did see this on a Reddit thread or like a YouTube comment once, so take it with a grain of salt. But apparently the concept of Driven, so it's not Formula One, okay? It looks like Formula One, but it's not Formula One because Bernie Eccleston saw the script and was like, I want nothing to do with this. Okay. He was like, this is crazy. Because these O's like jump into the F1 cars and drive them through the streets of like, it's Miami or New York or like some American city somewhere. I think it was a city, okay? But like after they get into an argument, the one guy, he wants to leave. So he just jumps in his F1 car and drives off. And it's like, well, you need like a whole like crew to start an F1 car. Like you don't just have a key that you turn and jump and drive. So that was like Eccleston saw stuff like that. And he was like, look, I don't think I can give this my endorsement. So they had some fictitious global racing brand going on, But it was essentially supposed to be Williams. Okay, that was like the original plan. Apparently, allegedly, all these sort of things. Originally, the plan was for the team to be Williams, and you can see like there's hints of this. Okay, for a start, the team principal is in a wheelchair. Okay, which is clearly Frank Williams. Okay, like why would you do that if you weren't trying to make it be Frank Williams? Okay, and then there was this idea because Jensen Button was driving for Williams in that season when they were filming this. Okay, and the whole plan apparently was to use clips from the actual season as the racing scenes, you know?
I see.
So the guy that they had cast, his name was the character was Jimmy Blythe or something, and he was supposed to be Jensen Button. And if you see him and you see Jensen Button from that era and you see this actor, you're like, yeah, clearly that's supposed to be Jensen Button. And they were just going to make them wear the same helmet. So when it's like on track, you'd obviously just see the helmet and it's Jensen Button. But then when it's off track and they're filming a scene, the guy would take the helmet off and now it's the actor dude, you know? So,
where was the point? Sorry.
I'm just saying, I feel the point is that I feel like that guy is the main character and Brad Pitt isn't. Because in the movie Driven, Sylvester Stallone was not the main character.
Okay.
That was my point. Sorry.
Thank you.
That was a very ramble thing. But great movie if you like very over the top shit. Lots of fun. But yes, so to Tay and Neve, Neve said she wished that Brad Pitt wasn't the main character. I think he might not be if they are really going in that Driven direction. That was my point.
Yes.
Sorry.
Well, we can wait and see with bated breath. I don't know if I'm gonna go to the cinema or not, though.
I'm gonna go to the cinema. It's gonna be great. Except I'm gonna be in a Japanese cinema where you're not allowed to react. So I can't even laugh at like the funny thing.
Will there be anything funny?
Like
I just feel like this movie's not gonna be very good.
Like when he's like, who cares about like safety? We'll just try everything. Like that's not how
that would
works.
just really annoy me. I won't laugh. I'll be like, oh no.
No, I'm gonna laugh because it's Brad Pitt saying it. I'm gonna be like, ah, what an idiot.
We needed to
lost Jennifer Jolie and Jennifer Aniston. Like not Jennifer Jolie, Angelina Jolie.
Jennifer Jolie.
Jennifer Jolie is a character in Scream. I apologize.
Okay. Thank you.
That's enough. Like, sorry. Check out my other channel, Universal Films, for more great film takes. But for now, let's get back to Formula One. So, who do we have for first place, Emmy?
I have Oscar Piastri. It may have been obvious. I do this a lot from my P2 that I was predicting a pole to win conversion because it is Imola, right? It's Imola. So there's not a lot of overtaking. That's my ethos.
Yeah. Oh, hashtag subtle promo there in the comments. Thank you, Taya and Neve. Okay, hashtag subtle promo. Who have I predicted, Emmy?
Oh no, I was so wrong. You did predict Lando. I've been gaslighting you this whole time.
So wait, I went Oscar, George, Lando.
Yeah.
I can see
weird
that
sandwich. It's like the opposite of oh no, it's not the opposite of Saudi. Bahrain, it is the opposite of Bahrain. There we go. Made it there in the end.
I can see that happening.
Switcheroo. Yeah.
Yeah,
especially if there's some safety car situation, George could jump Oscar in the pits again. Just keep benefiting from safety cars. Good for him. But yeah, it could happen. Not out of the realms.
Almost win it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And here's everyone else. Here's the delusion I was talking about. Do you see it? Do you see that? Do you see that little turquoise circle? You see that little turquoise circle? Oh. Anyway, yeah. Kira has predicted a pole to win home race win for Kimmy Antonelli, surprisingly enough. I wonder if she'll do this again in Monza. We'll wait and see. But yeah, so I personally, I think out of the realms of anything happening, the realms of possibility, Kimmy getting pole, it could happen. Kimmy winning? No, I don't think so. Unless it's rainy and someone goes bowling, then maybe, right? Then
Yeah.
maybe, but not
The
a
rain
normal
is a
race.
huge factor in this because, like, rain. But see, if there's rain, someone like Max is gonna capitalize on that.
Yeah,
So like again, I don't see Kimmy being able to like outrace Max Verstappen.
yeah.
I
Like Kimmy is
think
good in the rain, but then Max is good in the rain. So, like,
yeah.
you can't beat it.
Yeah, like I think Willow's prediction is a bit out there, I'm not gonna lie, but that seems way more likely to me. Like I would say how we've sort of got it here, we've got like Lando, like what's that? Like out of 8, that's 2 out of 8 is
2.
like 25% Lando, 50% Oscar. Yeah, like that. Those odds make sense to me. I might make a little bit different, maybe like a 30-30 split or a 35-30 split there with Max at like a 20%. Like I see Antonelli. Yeah, I would say he'd be very lucky to get like P4. I think P4 would be a solid result for him, and I don't think we can expect much more than that. However, as someone who has been ridiculously hyping Yuki Tsunoda for like years, I can completely get behind Kira's passion. I can approve of that, if nothing else.
Yeah. Neve says that Kimmy pulled a gap of something like 8 seconds and 6 laps in F2 last year in the wet. And I mean, yeah, like he is great in the wet. I feel like he's probably in like at least the top half of the grid in terms of wet performance already. I mean, just based off of Australia in an F1 car. I feel like we can't count his F2 performance against somebody like Max because obviously, first of all, different car, second of all, different field, right? In like F2, the most experience you're going to get is like 5 seasons. And at that point, you should really move on. And you're not somebody who's really up there fighting for a title. Well, I'm going to ignore that this year. But so you're not against somebody like Max, who is both really good in the wet and really experienced in an F1 car. I feel like that's the key difference. So for Kimmy, just give it a couple years, give him a couple years to mature, and I feel like he will be towards the level of Max in the wet. So but not right now. But I honestly, I feel like if it were to rain, I don't think a podium is out of the realms of possibilities because it will really sort of, the McLarens will lose a lot of their race pace advantage, and that'll bring them down a bit more even.
Disqualify the Invictus. Oh, okay, Neve. I don't know that reference, but sure.
It's an F2 team.
I see. Okay.
They're very fast in the spec series. It's supposed to be a spec series, so.
Okay. So, yeah, so we've predicted as a channel a Mercedes on every step of the podium.
Oh, that's good.
Which is, I think, quite fun. So we're either gonna look great or terrible, but I think it'll be a good race nonetheless. But
yeah,
let's move on to wild cards because here's where it really gets interesting. So, Immy, what have you predicted for the wild card?
You may have heard me talking about this earlier, but I have predicted that somebody will get a grid penalty in qualifying for impeding. It happened last year, to Oscar specifically, but it's just this track, very narrow, cars very big, Q1, 20 of them out at the same time, trying to get a gap, trying to get a push lap. I feel like we've seen not a lot of impeding this year, to be honest. I don't know if it's less than normal, but I feel like kind of. So maybe race engineers are getting quite good at getting gaps and not having issues and communicating with their drivers. And I feel like McLaren, their race engineers are pretty good. So this was, in Oscar's case, more of a one-off, but I don't think it's out of the realms of possibilities for a lot of teams. I mean, Ferrari specifically have a pretty sort of not trustworthy pit wall right now. So we'll see. You know, but
that looks like the biggest euphemism ever.
but we'll
They're
see.
dog shite, let's be honest.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice. Well, yeah, I think out of all the tracks where you could impede someone, this is high on the list. I'd say Monaco is probably high as well. But
okay, so Immy's predicting a bit of a traffic paradise there in quali. So what have I predicted? Oh, Colapinto red flag incident. Now, I want to just couch this in the correct terminology. It is a red flag incident, not a DNF, which means that it could happen throughout the weekend. It could be FP1, FP2, FP3, quali, or the race. Because I do think he's going to just, he's never driven this car. Okay.
He's done testing at least.
Yeah, but not in this car. He drove old cars, right? Yeah. So he's never driven this car. And while he did have a very successful debut with Williams, there were iffy moments to his season last year. There were crashes.
He was very, very, very crash prone, I think. He does have pace, but I think, didn't he end up crashing more than Logan in the end?
I think he cost the team more than Logan.
He cost the team more,
I don't know if he crashed more, but the cost of his crashes were more.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
it's, maybe he's reined it in a little bit but no, this is kind of worse, because I was about to say he would have felt the need to prove himself last year, but now he only has 5 races, so he surely feels the need to make more of a mark than last year, even, which would make him push more and make more mistakes. This just feels like a bad idea, like times a bad idea, honestly. Neve says in the final 5 races he had 3 DNFs. Yeah, so not amazing. And then there was also like the one pictured, the crash in Singapore qualifying. So not all of them were crashes or DNFs in the race, but he also crashed in qualifying multiple times, I think.
Yeah. So like the way I see it, like if you were watching us last year, you know that I really like Franco. Okay, I like Franco Colapinto as the person, and I think as a driver, he's quite interesting. Okay, his fan base a little bit out there. Not gonna lie, not to my tastes. One should not send death threats to Jack Doohan. Let me just say that much. Okay. However, I do feel like he's in a similar situation to like a Yuki or a Gabriel Bortoleto, where he has he is his country's representative in the sport. For someone like George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, they're just like one of many British drivers, so that pressure is not the same on them. When you are the only representative of your country and have been the only representative of your country for years, in the sport, like there's a lot more pressure on you. And I think he had a little bit too much of like a party last year, and I think he's going to have to like really step up this year and be consistent, because I think that was his biggest issue last season, was that he was not consistent. He was good and he was bad. There was never just like a base level that you could sort of judge him on. And that's what he's going to need to do now, because Paul Aaron is waiting in the wings. Jack Doohan's waiting in the wings as well to be like, haha, you picked the wrong person, which I don't think, maybe, I don't think he'll get pregnant. But,
yeah.
Seems unlikely. But Franco has a lot of pressure on him to perform not only for the team and for his sponsors, but he's got that added pressure of performing for your country. And it's something that we've seen like with Yuki Tsunoda is quite like a heavy weight to carry. If you go watch that DTS episode where I think it was called like Alpha Boys or Alpha Men or something.
Yeah, Alpha Male.
Alpha Men.
I remember
it's about
thinking
like
Alpha Male. It's Alpha Male.
Alpha Male.
I remember thinking,
yeah.
God, what a god awful title.
Makes sense given their team was Alpha Tauri, but terrible name.
Yeah, it had some context, but I was like, oh, and it was right after like another awful one. Wait, I'm gonna pull up you've got me going now. This is my
why
tangent.
would you do that? So in that episode, you see very clearly the amount of pressure that Yuki Tsunoda was under to perform in Japan because he had never performed there before. He had never raced there before as an F1 driver because of like the COVID pandemic and everything. So it was his first time racing there. And even Pierre said like he doesn't think that Yuki is aware of how big this is going to be for him. And you could see it like these constant pressure from his home country of like, oh my God, it's Yuki, and Japan's never had a race winner. They've never got higher than P3 on the podium. So Yuki is like this generation's hope, so that's a lot of pressure. And when you're looking at Colapinto, he's facing that same issue where he is this generation's hope for Argentina. So I do worry that will get to him. But I also think that he is a decent driver. Like, I don't think he's bad or anything. I just think that the pressure's going to get to him this weekend.
Yeah, okay. In this season, so episode 8 is Alpha Male, and episode 6 is Nice Guys Finish Last. So it's a bit of a run, which that one's obviously Daniel and McLaren and Oscar.
So. Nice Guys Finish Last sounds like an incel thing.
I know, and then
males and incels, like really.
Yeah. It's a run. It's an episode title run. You've got hot seat in the middle, and that's Checo. I've watched DTS too much, actually.
What's next? Are we gonna have like Sigma grind sets or something? Like Jesus, please.
I don't think they don't have any horrific titles after that. I thought they learned their lesson.
Okay.
Oh, but
so, despite problematic titling from DTS, what has everyone else predicted for the wild card?
Okay.
Hey, what is this prediction?
This prediction, it's not. No, don't worry. It's not an Isaac podium, but it's Isaac gets more than 1 point because he won the feature race in Imola last year. So that's him winning the feature race in Imola last year.
So Isaac like 2 points or more.
Yeah, Isaac P9 or higher, basically.
Okay. This looked like a podium, and I was like,
yeah. I'm like, oh.
But then obviously not because we've already gone through podiums, so clearly not. But yeah, I just got a bit shocked there. Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, and then Kira has predicted a top 4 team driver crash. And Lee has predicted.
What are we defining as a top 4 team at the moment? Is Williams in that, or are they not in that? Because I feel like Williams should be in that very soon. But yeah,
I mean, it's the standings, isn't it? So it's McLaren, Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari.
Okay, fair.
At the end of the day, that's just because that's a cut and dry definition. And then Lee predicted somebody below P10 in the standings will double their points total this weekend. And so I've gone with the 2 drivers I feel like are most likely to double their points. So Carlos or Yuki. And then Neve has gone with someone beaches it in the gravel. So it's lovely. And then
who is that in the picture? Is that Carlos or Charles?
That's Carlos.
Okay. Your bias is showing.
Oh, I was looking for a car that got beached in the gravel at Imola. It happened to be Carlos. He put himself there. Anyway, Lacey predicted a Ferrari DNF. So
Ouch.
yeah, and Willow
In front of the home
predicted,
crowd. That's harsh. That's harsh, Lacey. That's harsh. I love
yeah.
that brutal nature you bring to the TPR group. Thank you. That's brutal. I
I
love it.
don't think Lacey's gonna like hearing that.
It's awesome. It's so brutal. It's such a brutal prediction. I love it. It's awesome.
And Willow predicted Williams double points, which is quite in the realms of possibility. But you know what? Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy.
I think Williams is currently the fourth best team on the grid.
I'm gonna say that I think it ranges from track to track, and that Miami was somewhat of an exception track in their favor, and they're not going to be that, because they're not going to be outpacing Ferrari and Mercedes every weekend. I think
Certainly not from here on. I'm saying in this moment, right now,
okay,
they are the fourth best team. But
yeah,
as the season progresses, they will no longer be, because as they've said, they've stopped upgrades. So they've
yeah,
stopped developing this car. So they will no longer be like, I think they will struggle from like, let's say 2-3 races from now. I think they're going to struggle to get points. But
they
Alex has
do.
done such a good job for them this season that
Yeah,
they might still hang on to P5 regardless.
they do have the plus side that probably a lot of the other teams behind them will be shifting focus to 26, because there's no point in them sticking around for 25, especially when Williams have the jump on them anyway. So
Yeah,
I think, and if I were Ferrari, I'd shift to 26 now. There's no point in hanging on for 25. So, but they'll bring upgrades for a bit, but they aren't bringing upgrades to Imola.
I mean, that's an interesting question. Who continues to develop? Like, I can see Merck doing it.
Red Bull obviously are,
Red
because they're
Bull.
putting upgrades, and McLaren.
You think McLaren will still upgrade?
For a while, because I mean they've got this like pretty much this drivers constructors double championship wrapped up with a bow, and so if they were to stop developing and then all of a sudden Mercedes jumps them and they lose it, they look like clowns.
Mm.
Like, I mean, you've got to stop at a certain point,
Yeah,
but I think they will hang on for as long as is reasonable. They won't stop like Williams has.
So, like, summer break for McLaren or later?
Maybe. I think it depends. It depends when other teams stop, right? Because if say Mercedes and Red Bull were to stop tomorrow, McLaren doesn't need to develop anymore.
Yeah.
You know, there's just it's pointless.
Yeah.
But if they continue to, then McLaren realistically should at least put something into it, because otherwise then they could start creeping up. And that's, you know, when you're so clearly the favorite, you don't want to lose that. I mean, look how Red Bull looked last year. Like, they pretty much looked like clowns. And they even won the Drivers' Championship. So, like...
I mean, yeah, the Red Bull's development arc is just like, it's for the history books. It's so bizarre. But yeah. I think it's an interesting thing to think about, like, you know, with the changing of the regs and everything. At what point do teams kind of just go, oh, this is the best we're gonna do, bro? Just like, I'm over it, hey? And then move on to like thinking about next season. Because I can see a team like, let's say, the Racing Bulls, for example, where they finish is not that important. What's important for Racing Bulls is that they develop younger talent. You know, they always have like Daddy Red Bull to fund them. So the prize money is not that important, and their goal is not to win a championship or to win races. Their goal is to develop younger drivers. So I can see them putting more effort into developing the car, because it benefits their drivers, you know, and it helps their drivers to perform better. Whereas a team like, let's say,
that's the ethos for every team.
Huh?
You feel like that's the ethos for every team. I mean, to an extent, you want a better car so your drivers can perform better. I mean, I know what you mean.
But like with VCARB, they want a car that's closer to the Red Bull, so that their drivers can learn how a
Uh-huh.
Red Bull
Oh, in
works.
like characteristics. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
now I
yeah, yeah. So
understand.
they're going
Yeah.
to develop it towards the Red Bull. I mean, and we've seen that so
Probably not
clearly
a
over
good
the last 2.
trajectory.
Sorry?
Probably not a good trajectory to go in that direction.
I mean, it might have helped Liam. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. If the V carb
Yeah.
last year was a lot more like the Red Bull, Liam might actually have been in it with a shot to like do well this season, you know. But the development was just so different, and that's it's just me trying to sort of think about which teams will be more likely to develop. You know, like Stake F1 don't give a fuck. They're just waiting for Audi. You know,
Yeah.
they don't care. Alpine, they don't seem to care. They seem to care more about like how they can build their team up to be profitable in terms of like when they sell it, you know.
Yeah.
Williams seems to be very focused on 2026, but also seems to have put in a lot of work for this year, but has now stopped that work. So like every team has like a different vibe going on. So I'm just trying to like, because you could totally see like with an Alpine resurgence at the end of last season, that completely changed the championship in the lower half. You know, that bottom 5 of the championship was completely changed by Alpine's development. We
Well,
all thought it was going to be Haas, and then it was Alpine. You
that
know,
was development to an extent, but I also think that was just weighted by luck at the end of the day. That double podium in Brazil. Of course, Pierre was putting in amazing Q3 performances, and those were translating to points, but they weren't, you know, what's that, 18 plus 15?
a lot.
33
33,
points.
yeah. Not a lot. Like, it
Like,
was a lot. It was a big haul of points, you know. And it
so
was like on wet track, so you know, that's more down to the driver's ability than the car, etc., etc.
yeah,
But like,
it's about being that midfield team that are there to capitalize when stuff goes wrong. Which, I mean, Esteban was there, and then Pierre was the one who really got lucky. But at least
yeah.
18 of those points
Yeah,
from
because
Brazil,
Esti
I
was
think,
like Esti qualified P4 in Brazil, hey?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then he just happened to hang on for the red flag, but he was up there, right? And then
Yeah.
Pierre was like P13 or something. So he got lucky. At least 18 of those points, I think they would have probably gotten either way,
Yeah,
right?
Yuki pitted like a lap too.
It's sore. It's sore.
It's so painful. It's so
Oh,
painful. It's so painful.
okay.
Oh,
Um,
the worst thing about that is I can't even blame the team. Yuki insisted on coming in,
it
and the
was.
team were like, "No, stay out."
Oh no.
I can't
But
even blame
it
the
was the
team.
right thing to do at the time.
He made the right
If there
decision.
was,
It was the
yeah,
right
if there
call for
wasn't
that
a red
condition on
flag,
track. He couldn't have predicted that there was a car going to go off like the next lap or that same lap. He couldn't have predicted it.
yeah,
He
it's
went
fine.
for what
It's
was the
fine.
right call at that time. It just was the wrong call.
Okay, we've got to. I think we've got to put a pin in this now because we've
Okay.
managed to talk ourselves over the hour mark again. God.
I think that's good. Isn't that a good thing though?
Well, sure, yeah, but it is predictions. Anyway, we just can't stop talking.
Yes.
But
Oh, I just saw Neve's got a question there. Is James getting points as well? I think that was for the Williams
yeah,
double
yeah.
points finish. Yeah.
There's no other good picture of them together. I couldn't find that one, so I went to like search, and I could not find a good picture of Alex and Carlos. So it's just that one where James is there. You know what?
Yeah.
Put him in the car. Yeah. Field a third car. They'll all get points.
Okay, fair. Okay, so on that bombshell, James Vowell to Williams, I think all that's left to say is thank you very much for tuning in to Traffic Paradise Radio. We do appreciate you doing so. And if you liked this stream, or if you're watching it in the future and it's no longer a stream, but just like a video, please leave us a like.
Mm-hmm.
And consider subscribing, because then you can catch our reaction to the Imola Grand Prix, where Lando Norris is sure to come out victorious, or
Sure.
Oscar Piastri.
Make it 4 in a row. I mean, I think the chance of it happening is low.
Or Kimmy Antonelli.
Or Kimmy Antonelli. Yeah. The chance of that happening is lower.
Yes.
But not zero.
I will. Yes. I will do a funny TikTok dance if Kimmy Antonelli wins the Imola Grand Prix.
No. Kira will hold you to that.
It's fine. We need the viral views. I'll sacrifice for the channel. So thank you, Immy. Immy does all the graphics. So big thank you to Immy for the amazing graphics today. Yay.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone in the whole world except for Ollie Oaks. And with that, oh my God, the most important thing of today.
What?
It's Yuki Tsunoda's birthday. Happy birthday, Yuki. 25 years old.
You should have made me make a graphic for him.
I was going to ask you, and then I was like, oh, I've already asked so much of you this episode. Let me just not. I was going to mention it. But yeah, we should have really had an episode. But yeah, it's Yuki Tsunoda's birthday. So send him a message on comments on his Instagram posts or at him on Twitter, or really just subscribe to Traffic Paradise Radio because we are.
That's the best birthday present.
Best birthday present you could give him is to subscribe below. So thank you so much. Happy birthday, Yuki Tsunoda. Fuck you, Ollie Oaks, for making us look like fools and for being aligned with Russian oligarchs. And allegedly. And all that's left to say is the traffic to Imola is clear. And we're now heading towards the track. Something like that. We used to have a whole thing. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, traffic.
We used to have Imola.
Scripts. I need to go back and look at our Google Drive and find the old scripts. But that's all from us. Bye-bye.
Bye.